A very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I, Chandrika Sharma, on behalf of Her World India, would like to welcome you all to the Daily Talk Show, where today we will be having an insightful conversation on how we as a society have performed throughout this pandemic. We feel privileged to be hosting this show in collaboration with Policy Center and Gender Lab Miranda House, University of Delhi. Policy Center and Gender Lab provides research opportunities in the fields of social sciences, policy shape up, and gender studies. Without much ado, I will introduce our guests. So today we have with us Mrs. Ujjwala Bakshi, who's working as a dietitian. We are grateful for your presence, ma'am. We also have with us the founder and the editor-in-chief of Her World India, Ms. Rakhi Bakshi. She's a veteran media professional who has served as a media advisor of her TV. Her World India is a brainchild of Ms. Bakshi. Her World India strives for an inclusive and a gender equal world. It's a space that lends voice to women and
Okay.
carry their stories forward. So during the session, I would request all the attendees to keep themselves on mute. And if you have any questions, you're requested to put them in the chat box. All the questions will be taken up at the end of the session. Without much ado, I request Rakhi ma'am to commence the session. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Chandrika. And what a wonderful time we are all having discussing this subject. Of course, it's a very, tragic time also in that sense that we are faced with this pandemic. And, so many people have lost their lives. So many of our near ones are suffering even now that we speak. And it is only important also to understand that how we gather together in terms of more understanding, sympathy, empathy, reaching out in terms of any support that we can offer. And so at Her World India, we are trying to look at all kinds of sectors, all kinds of stakeholders, all kinds of experts and voices that matter in this regard. We have been talking to experts like scientists, virologists, doctors, academicians, bureaucrats, policymakers, but now I'm privileged today to have Ujjwala Bakshiji here, who's joining from Mumbai. And we're talking also about something which is really in front of us, and that is about food and nutrition. So, what it should be and what can we look at is what Ms. Bakshi will be sharing with us. Welcome to the show, first of all.
Thank you so much for inviting me and having me, Ms. Rakhi Bakshi. It's a pleasure to having talking to you. As we
You.
already hosted my husband, Dr. Rahul Bakshi, so I
Exactly.
know what it is going to be like with you.
So it's the Bakshi family that we are also very thankful to, who's created such gems in their own fields. They're experts also. So without wasting much time, of course, again here, my first question would be, is that when it comes to eating and when it comes to nutrition, these are maybe two things, is to what we eat, how we eat, and what are we aware of as to what we are
Hmm.
eating. And that's where you come in, isn't it? So tell us and make us more aware as to what good eating is all about.
Um, with respect to this pandemic, if we have to really, zoom in and take in this topic, we have to really look into this aspect of convenience food. Because what is happening is, of course, we know that there is no house help, or people are still finding it difficult to manage getting meals on the table. So we have to make sure, at the same time, we have to also make sure that we are eating healthy, because the pandemic has impacted a lot in terms of health, causing adversities of health problems such as diabetes is on the rise. So we have to make sure that we balance out both the aspects, like not having no help, and that's the reason why we reach out to ordering food from outside. That's what the trend we have been seeing. And we all know that when it started last year, everybody was like having a vacation at home with family members. So they all felt that, okay, let's enjoy, they were cooking all sorts of meals and cuisines, which led to weight gain. So people have put on about 8 to 10 kgs in this entire year, and which is causing health problems. They have come up with diabetes, and specifically in younger generations. So people of 30 to 40 years of age group, they are experiencing type 2 diabetes, which is just lifestyle dependent, even if they don't have family history. So when we look at the diet aspect of it, we have also seen that people are getting more into intermittent fastings, and then they are getting a bit confused about the entire diet scenario. So my first message would be to always follow a balanced diet, which is the ultimate way to follow anything with respect to food and healthy lifestyle, because it doesn't disturb your routine. It falls into place very easily, and it kind of slips into all sorts of different lifestyle patterns that we see in different people, right? So I think we should not actually forget about the balanced diet approach, which people are forgetting because they feel that, following any fad diets, crash diets, gives them good results, fast results, and then when they achieve them, they want to get off it because they're done with it, because they are strict. The actions are strict. So you want to follow something which is doable, and slips into your routine rather than disturbing your routine, and then you want to do it only temporarily.
Okay, so one question I want to ask here, and we will really focus on to, as you said, pandemic and even to lockdown. And when you're in a lockdown, what are your urges as far as eating is concerned? So we have seen people, they get into stressed emotional eating. So for example, they're confined in a home. So their eating pattern, and educate me if you can, is different. So there may be concentration is much more on food, and the relationship with food is very, very unique as far as the lockdown food items are concerned.
Of course, we have seen a rise in consumption of snacks, and late night snacking is on the rise. Just in this afternoon, also, I happened to discuss it with a couple who have just joined in for a program, and the husband is like, I just wanted my me time, and because this work from home is definitely grueling because you are not traveling. So when you travel, when you step out of the house, you get some fresh air. Here there is no fresh air, you're just sitting inside the house. So there is exposure of food because the food is there all the time in front of you. The accessibility is great, so you feel like eating, you see it, you eat it. It's like that. The amount of stocking of snacks has gone high, and then late night snacking because of the series, Netflix and stuff like that has also gone high, which is leading to sleeping late hours. Okay, people are sleeping at 3 a.m.s, 5 a.m.s because they are binge watching and then they are binging. So this is disrupting the entire lifestyle, and they don't mind sleeping until late because they are not supposed to report at their workplace at a particular time. Now, the workplace scenarios have also been flexible, right? They know that, okay, we have to get the job done. So you just finish your task that is needed to be done in the entire day. It's up to you. You take 5 hours. It's up to you. You take just 2 hours to accomplish it. So people are using that kind of a liberty to also have more of me time. And there is less of exercise, I would say. People don't even mind saying that now that, okay, I am not going to exercise, if you were to tell me so, because I'm not the person who would like to exercise and I can't walk around in the house. So that liberty of communicating that lack of activity is happening because of this homebound scenario, and the freedom of communication, like freedom of speech. People are actually using that freedom of speech here because initially the clients would never come up and say that, okay, I'm not going to walk. Here people are communicating that. Okay. It's only when they are being hurt a lot, they feel that, okay, it's beyond their control, their health, their weight. It's that when they are reaching out to us.
It's very psychological also, because the kind of moods, the kind of feelings, the kind of environment that we are in right now, because there is a whole lot of pressure on us, and food becomes kind of very important in that sense. Something that sometimes I'm sure that the kind of patients or people who are coming to you must be sharing their stories and how they're relating. In fact, you and I have seen so many pictures on social media also that people present their food items in ways. But what is it that they could do to balance it all out? What is your advice as an expert here? What is it that you tell your patients or people who seek help?
See, first and foremost, the first question I always ask any client who is joining in this time period is, do you have helper? Do you have a help at home to prepare your meals, or who is preparing your meals? So if the homemaker is preparing the meals and she doesn't have any job scenario, but still she would get burnt out or stressed out if I were to tell, okay, you have to now, if suppose she's balancing the husband's diet out, if I were to tell her, okay, you have to prepare this 10 different items because he's on the diet, she's not going to entertain that thought. So the first and foremost thing I tell them that, okay, if you don't have any help, you are going to fix your diet, you have to tell me what you're eating. and what is going to be comfortable. So if you feel that you are going to eventually still call for a typical Indian plate, which is roti dal sabzi, we will accommodate your diet into that fashion. But if you feel that you want to do just one pot meals like khichadis, we will accommodate it likewise. So the way we work about it is swapping of ingredients. That is important. Rather than teaching the entire new recipes, it gets tricky because people are not really having the time. So it's best to know what they are actually doing. So we tell them, okay, report for 3 days. Report your food intake for 3 days. Let me observe what you are cooking, and let me then just swap certain ingredients in that cooking style, because there are different regional clients also. So just swapping of ingredients actually helps them a lot. So we don't really need to change the entire the diet plan and make them really worried. Oh my God, this is not doable.
And would you also see something which is very tailored to work from home kind of scenario right now? Because I mean, which is all related, which is what we are discussing, and you've already said it also. But then work from home has too many other dimensions. So family members are staying together. Maybe there's more food, as you rightly said, more access, which is happening inside the four walls of the house. And also new ideas coming up related to health, not really looking at the kind of nutritional value that you would ideally suggest.
Mm. So I would want a little more clarity on this question. Like, are you looking at more ideas, or what is it?
What are those ideas which looks at more nutrition? As a nutritionist, as somebody who understands diet, what could be an ideal way to look at your diet plan?
See, if I so of course, sourcing of ingredients and just eating them afresh, wash them and remove the skin. If you feel if these are apples, you want to remove the skin, consume them instead of making smoothies, instead of making juices. Very importantly, don't get into the whole. So what is happening is people are bothering themselves while making meals which are not so easy. So they are making juices. They are getting into these kadas because they feel that, okay, this is a pandemic stuff. I have to consume kadas because it is going to prevent me. And in my observation, I've seen people, all those who had consumed kadas, they must have actually, one of the family members out of the 5 or 10, whatever the small or a nuclear family, they must have actually got some kind of a COVID infection. So it's not the kada that is going to prevent you. So the idea is to just eat whole foods. Okay, you don't need to get into elaborate cooking or procedures of cooking. So if you feel that you do enjoy fruits, go ahead, eat fruits rather than make juicing them, because somebody has read somewhere that vitamin C is abundantly there in orange juice. So of course, one glass of orange juice is going to give you a huge dose of vitamin C instead of the pill. But it is also going to shoot up your blood sugars, and that is eventually going to cause problems. And specifically, I've heard this and actually observed in one of my friend's kids. She was overloading her kids with respect to kadas. 4 times a day she was giving kadas, and I was like, oh my God, I have to really start thinking about it, because I never gave any kada to my sons. And I was like, I should really feel bad about it, because people are doing all over the world, and I, being from this field, have not even gotten into this. But thankfully, I did not land up into this, because children are not going to drink spices without jaggery or without sugar or without honey. And just imagine, to just flavor it up, it is going to call for 2 teaspoons of jaggery or honey. So multiply that for 4 times, you are already consumed 8 teaspoons of sugar replacers like honey and jaggery. So how much ever they are healthy, it is going to pile up on the weight. It is going to cause health problems. So don't get into anything which is unusual, basically. Just eat normal food, but make sure that you are consuming whole grains. Okay. So of course, reduce the frequencies of bakery products. That is very important. That should be the to go thought, that reduce the bakery products, and which is on the rise, because people feel, okay, now we are at home, we want to fill ourselves up because we are taking our own sweet time to prepare dinners. The dinners have gotten delayed anyways. So they want to have their teas and biscuits, and people are consuming 5 to 6 biscuits at each time, which is another root cause of all health problems. So avoid bakery products, avoid processed foods as much as possible, avoid the snacks, ready-made snacks. And if you have rotis at home, which are, leftover rotis, go ahead, make crackers out of them, make khakras out of them. You might want to invest in a khakra machine or a small roti maker, wherein you can just crisp them
Very
up
good.
and consume them. Yeah, so
Very
use them as dips rather than buying the snacks. You would end up buying those lavash and fancy crackers from outside, which are dense in salt. Instead, here you can control that. Another thing, what people do is they are cutting down on the fat. Sorry.
Another thing in terms of knowledge, I mean, there are, as you rightly said, there is misinformation also going on. So, for example, sometimes saying, "Oh, this is good for me. This is what I read. That this will really help me in my health condition." Maybe it could be wrong. So, what is it? For example, certain things which are being said on social media also that if you take, like you talked about kada, some other things also. What is it that people should be more informed about? For example, the food which is hot, food which is cold, because in COVID we have seen the first symptom is our throat gets affected. So what is it that we should avoid mostly, and what is it that we should be more knowledgeable about in terms of eating?
So there as well, so people have gone a bit intense on consumptions of honey. They have used honey a lot to soothe their throats. So they have to look into the quality of honey, definitely. If they want to use that, surely they can go ahead with it. But they have to look at the quality of the honey. People are buying brands which are just caramelized sugar, and it has been, in the news. These brands, they are huge brands. They are very commonly used brands in India. So people are just not aware of this, and they would just buy those honeys and use them. Instead, you simply caramelize the sugar at home instead, if you have to really use honey. So look for good quality honey. Again, don't overdo it, because it is still going to be heaty. Same thing goes for the jaggery. The summer season, people were still consuming jaggery because of this, the COVID infection and wanting to get rid of it. So anything overdoing is not really advisable. Not juicing is also fine. You don't need to juice stuff like, people are juicing Giloy. Um, in fact, the last year I was invited as a speaker on some platform, and I was denying the fact that I don't want to give any recipe for kada or some juice, and people were like, "No, ma'am, please give some recipe for kada." So I had to literally whip up something just then, because I am not in the favor of doing anything out of the way just because you feel that, okay, this is going to be giving you a huge shot of nutrients. Might as well just add it in your daily meals. So flax seeds are really good. So if you want to beat the infection, you want to go high on the omega-3 fatty acids. Consume flax seeds a lot, walnuts, almonds. Chew them upon if you don't feel like powdering them and all that. But of course, if you feel that chewing them, soaking them doesn't help you, then you might want to just use the powders and add it in your glass of milk or beverages that you are consuming. So adding a spoonful of walnut powder or almond powder in your cup of coffee is actually a good recipe, and you feel like consuming it.
Another aspect that I want to flag off here is that, especially in today's era, and not only in pandemic, but otherwise, there is this whole importance of looking good and looking attractive. And I'm sure you face this, and you must be having clients discussing this with you, is that the balance again between, the overall, this whole so-called dieting plan, losing weight, but not understanding the nutritional value of what you're going ahead with. What do you really advise to such, especially female, I would say in this case?
So
The balance,
we
I mean.
have it's a very common scenario every day that we have to face. Like the ladies have really wrecked their head, and they are wondering what will work for me, because they have done extremes. And when we tell them that you don't have to go to that length, you can just simply eat your meals and still lose weight, they cannot accept the fact, and they feel this girl is gone crazy. She just doesn't know her own stuff, and she's even on Twitter, on social media, if I were to post something, there will be three people coming there to question our the thought. But there, the information that we put out is all out of application. Whatever we have been practicing with ourselves, with our clients, we see the results, and that's where we get the confidence. So people, they skip the food groups. Somebody is not consuming at all carbohydrates, and then they are wondering, oh, why am I losing hair? Of course, you're going to lose hair if you're not consuming carbohydrates, you're not consuming proteins, you're going really high on the keto diet. it does cause hair loss, of course, with weight loss. So I think maybe maximum of the weight loss is because of the hair loss. It is also going to cause a lot of sleeplessness. So if you're not sleeping well, when the ladies specifically, when they are dieting, they are crash dieting, they are not going to sleep well. So disturbed sleep is not going to help you balance out your hormones, and it is going to disturb your cycles, your menstrual cycle, your hormones. So you need to keep things into very close perspective, that you don't want to do anything that disturbs yourself mentally and disturbs the peace of the house, because we know a hangry mind is going to disturb the peace of the entire house. And we have seen that the clients come and report that, oh my God, I had felt so irritable when I was following this kind of a diet. I used to, blast people here and there, and I just didn't know what was happening to me. And we're like, why were you consuming a particular food group? When we get into their food recalls, we realize that they were extremely heavy on the meats and chickens if they were non-vegetarian, and they were not consuming any of the rotis or the rice or any carbohydrates by that way. Some people are just consuming fruits; they're not consuming anything else. So, in my opinion, just balancing out, consuming all the food groups, I think is the key to having a good weight loss.
Okay, sure. These are very, very critical, vital inputs that you're sharing here also with us, and it goes for everyone. Regarding children's health, because one thing that we are also discussing now more and more is that how children can be taken care of. So how do we really make them understand, oh, this is not only right for you, but this intake is very important for you as well. So
Oh,
please
that's a battle in my house. That's a battle in my house, because even my 10-year-old gives me a real tough time. And of course, since the time he is born, he is hearing this healthy concepts and this that to try to avoid this, try to consume less of this. But there, what we have to do is we want to have a communication. We want to break that thing that, okay, what do you want, what you don't want to eat. We want to talk to our children about it. What do you like to eat? Okay, and is that fine if I make ways to prepare it at home? So of course, once we prepare, so if suppose he feels like eating pizza, if the child feels like eating pizza, now it's very easy for as parents for us to call for it from outside, right? But if we can try to make easier and healthier ways of pizza, of course we will still have to load it up with cheese, we will still have to use a little less vegetables, just the way he likes it. But we can play around with the dough. We can use the rotis to make the pizza, which he will not just realize. So I think there are definitely ways to handle kids' nutrition and engage them into, because they have a lot of time at this point. So when we engage them into cooking and involve them in the process, they enjoy it, and somehow they also feel like trying new stuff. So engaging, playing around with them, talking to them about what kind of foods they like to eat, making provisions in a healthier manner, I think it works for the kids in that manner.
One of the things that we saw in COVID-19, and we must understand the importance of it, is the how to strengthen our immunity levels, because that became the key, not only for COVID or the current virus, but also in general, looking at the future, looking at, we were just discussing climate change, environment, and health, which is also interrelated. And likewise, how we become internally strong and become like a shield to our own bodies is very important. What is it that you suggest generally? That what are these key tips to have your immunity levels in control?
See, when we are trying to work upon our immunity, the first and most important aspect of good health and immunity is sleep. So if the person denies to sleep these days specifically, so as I mentioned, that people are really busy with the screen time, so they don't mind compromising on their sleep in the night because they are busy with some, series. But and they have to get back to work the next day, be it homemakers, be it kids if they are going to school, online schooling, be it the husbands. So we want to make sure that sleep is the most important factor, because if the sleep is in place, our body actually detoxifies it in the night. That is about 10 p.m. to 11 p.m. The internal organs start to detoxify, and this is proven by the Chinese medicine. Okay, so if we are not sleeping timely and we disturb our entire circadian rhythm, we are going to fall prey to feeling more hungry. Okay, so and that calls also for internal cravings for sweet and sugary stuff. So when we want to boost our immunity, we want to sleep well. We don't want to skip meals. So no skipping breakfast. That is essential. Hydrating oneself well is also very important, because nowadays, because of the hot weather, we want to be in the air condition all the time, which robs away the moisture from our body. And when the body is dehydrated, it is actually more prone to infection. And we know that all the COVID-19 patients are requested to be hydrated. So if the person is not hydrating enough, is going to be causing problems for themselves. To boost up the immunity, you want to keep the salt and the sugar completely under check, because if that is high, that also affects the immunity in the wrong manner. So before we start working on, vitamin C rich foods and all that stuff, we want to work on the food items that are actually causing harm and bringing down our immunity. Also very important is spicy food. Spicy food is going to create inflammation in the stomach, and once the body's internal system becomes inflammatory, it is going to be prone to it is like inviting yourself for COVID or immunity related health problems. So you want to alkalize your body, and the best way to alkalize your body is starting your day with some kind of fruits. Okay, but of course not like a platter of fruits. Like people, then when I tell them, then they would be eating 4 to 5 fruits, one apple, one mango, and whatnot. They're not stopping. So people who love fruits, they can go heavy on it. So there we have to set limit that okay, just start one fruit, and there is it's a very weird kind of a thought process that people have. They won't mind eating 4 to 5 fruits, but they would ask one simple question: Can I eat one banana? I'm like, eating one banana is not going to be equivalent to eating 5 fruits. So please start your day with a banana, even if you have diabetes, even if you have blood pressure problems. That one banana is not going to hurt you. Even if you want to lose weight, start with one banana. It is going to lay down an alkaline pH in the entire day. It is going to take care of your immune cells, and it is going to keep you really well. So yeah, all sorts of questions we get with respect to fruit intake.
What are some of the crazy questions that you get?
Oh, so one is this. Then just now we are doing the sugar detox, right? So one of the participants in the group, she mentioned that okay, I have switched from water. I was wanting to increase my immunity, so I'm drinking this mint water, and I have just added because there is a limit in that program that we have kept for some sugar and jaggery and all that stuff. So she's like, I have replaced my tea completely with this water, and I'm sweetening it with jaggery. I'm consuming 2 teaspoons of water with this and mint leaves only. So, and I said, when did you prepare this water? So she's like, right away in the morning at 7 a.m. had prepared this water with sabza seeds and all this. And when are you going to finish it? I have kept myself, I have given myself about 10 hours to finish this 2 liters of water. So can you imagine, the leaves are already tired and dead inside that water. They're sloppy, and that has kind of become, the seeds have become rancid, and the entire day is gone. And that consumption is not happening because it's not so tasty, but the person is going to consume it. Then people want to do all sorts of changes to their diet, like they will skip meals, and some funny thing is like people don't eat lunch. Okay, they will just eat a small bowl of salad, and how much ever I tell them that please eat your meal, don't just eat salads. And then they're like, no, 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 I'm really full, I'm very full. And then evening I get to see them with 4 rusks or 40 biscuits, and they're like, oh, actually I thought they're very tiny, they really don't hurt. So then we have to disclose to them that okay, eating one roti won't hurt you so much than eating 6 to 7 biscuits, because this is the nutrition profile and this that. So people do all sorts of things when they want to do the dieting aspect.
Okay. Another thing is that, as you rightly said, that in the family, and we earlier talked to, your spouse also, and diabetes is something that is really being also talked about, which has such a correlation to the present time, the COVID, and how we should really, in fact, I was discussing with someone today, and he said that we did not know that the person had, early juvenile diabetes problem. And finally, instead of just only COVID symptom, this became so aggravated that his life was lost. So understanding the importance of right food at the right time, and avoiding diabetic conditions. What would you say about that?
Oh, I have an incident to share here. So I have this client who is asthmatic, and she has been asthmatic since, and she's a 55 years old lady, has been on steroids in the last 2 3 years, and she developed diabetes because of the steroids. The drugs are very much similar to anybody who's been given the COVID treatment. Funny that because she developed diabetes, that's the reason why she came to me, because she wanted to manage it. Funny aspect is she did not, the husband tells her that, okay, don't treat yourself like a diabetes patient. You have to tell the dietitian that I'm not a diabetes patient. Even if I have it since 3 to 4 years, I have been able to manage it all by myself. So we don't need to really keep knowing about the blood sugars. Just tell her to handle my asthma. And I was like, no, you cannot focus on one health problem just like that, because diabetes is on the rise. And if the sugars are high, whatever health complications you have, they are not going to heal. So if you even have a small cut or a wound in the body, and if you have blood sugars which are running high, you're not aware of it, the wound is going to take additional time to heal, or it may not heal, and it may call for amputation. So people have big toe problems, the nail ingrowth. So they take it very lightly, and specifically if they have diabetes, they're not aware of the sugars. That is going to call for amputation of the toes and the legs itself, because the infection is just spreading further. So very importantly, you cannot take diabetes lightly, specifically when it comes along with COVID or after COVID, because then it's plus responsibility to really control it, because then the chances of the person actually falling prey to another shot of COVID is high. Secondly, they are going to create more problems, because the diabetes related health complications such as eye problems, you have retinopathy, neuropathy, the sensation in the legs is lost, and people just still are not aware of what are because for them it's all of a sudden the diabetes just came because of COVID. So they are not really aware of how diabetes can harm them if they were not to take care of it. So controlling the blood sugars becomes key. And once the steroids are stopped because of the COVID medications, the diabetes will come down. The control will come down, but then there are more chances of them to fall prey to low blood sugars, that is hypoglycemia. That is also something that one needs to be really careful of, because if they were to manage just by themselves, don't want to refer to the doctors and update them, a person can die out of hypoglycemia within 15 to 20 minutes rather than staying with high blood sugars for 20 years. So hypoglycemia can be fatal, because not everyone gets those symptoms. When if there are people who have passed away in their sleep in the night because the body did not give any signs and symptoms, and the sugars dropped below 30, 20, and they just passed away. So the awareness of the sorry.
We watched that how cardiovascular diseases, heart attacks, cholesterol were used. I mean, all this we have seen, and the importance, that's why, of an expert like you talking about the right kind of diet, which is so critical and important if you really want to go ahead in life and work.
Yeah, people just I really don't know, like how can people just stop eating something because they felt that, or they heard somewhere that, okay, this is something not to be eaten at all, because people starting to eat counting calories and carbohydrates in peas and carrots. Now come on, we have to look at food from the total angle, not just from carbohydrates, not from the sugar aspect. If we were to look at food from sugar aspect, then vegetarians cannot really eat anything. If somebody wants to lose weight and they are micromanaging the carbohydrates to such an extent, they are not going to be able to eat anything on this earth, because vegetarians, all the meals, all the food items apart from the ghee and the oil has the carbohydrate. So I don't think we need to really micromanage so much on the carbohydrates, and that's where the people are falling prey to all these, the weight loss and the diet ball games. You be active.
One thing which would be a popular question, and maybe if there are any questions, one can go ahead and ask. But I want to ask this: smoking, alcohol, non-vegetarian food. So people have all kinds of confusions about it. Some people think, oh, if I take my right kind of alcohol, I'm okay. I can't leave smoking, or non-vegetarian, or any amount of it is fine. What do you have to say on that?
Yes, the non-vegetarians do feel that any amount of non-veg is fine, because they feel that it's ultimately proteins. We are getting a share of proteins, and I'm fortunate enough to be a non-vegetarian, because I don't really have to think like vegetarians about it. But they don't know that most of the non-vegetarians, if they go really heavy on that, they are prone to uric acid levels, high uric acid. They are prone to colon cancer. So if you go to see people who are heavy on the protein, and specifically from the meat protein, they are the ones who suffer with colon cancer. They are the ones who are suffering with baldness, because with the non-vegetarian protein and the way you cook it also makes a huge difference. So if you're consuming a lot of grilled chicken, grilled fish in the name of healthy food and diet food, it is going to create problems of the stomach as well as of the hair, and the skin quality it goes down, skin problems. Just yesterday there was a client who was telling me that, okay, she was inquiring and she said, I don't know, ever since 2 years, I have been just eating chicken and fish because I've, picked up a diet from an app, and they had said that you go heavy on the protein. So I have completely zeroed down my carbohydrates. But since 2 years, I've been just eating chicken and fish, and I'm really tired. I want some variety, and I just don't know how to go about it. And I don't even know, after eating so healthy, why my skin is getting this red bumps. So that is because of the inflammation that is coming along with the chicken and the fish. So we want to make sure that the diet is balanced, because one food group balances out the insufficiencies of the other, right? So it's always going to be like that, and it should not be questioned. The balanced diet has been questioned all throughout these years, and that is the one which has stayed for long.
I also talked about alcohol right now.
Alcohol, I would suggest people do feel, and the clients would say that I need my alcohol. I party with my friends. I need my alcohol. So we really kind of bargaining with them that, okay, how much do you consume? How low can you go? And do you consume chaknas with it? So then we have to teach them tricks, and tell them that, okay, you have to have your dinner. You cannot skip your dinner and say that, okay, because I'm going to consume alcohol and there will be some snacking, I want to save on to those calories. Because you went hungry to a party or to a get together like this, you would binge on alcohol, you will binge on snacking. But if you were to go on a full stomach, you will just be able to control and logically take that decision that, okay, I want to just keep myself controlled up to one peg or two pegs. So we have to set limits for it. And if we see that the frequency is a lot, we have to tell them that this is too much.
Balance is the key word there, and balance is important. So take it, but in a moderate amount, something which suits your body and something which doesn't endanger it at all. So one thing, a lot of young people that we work with also sometimes say, food is again related to mood. So some people complain that they're right now in lockdown and COVID situations, they are going through sometimes those mood swings, depressive thoughts. What do they eat? Sometimes they don't feel like eating. So what would you advise some of these young minds how to really look at eating, which is a holistic element, and not really should be looked in isolation, which is psychologically also should be uplifting. As far as their bodies are concerned, they should also add to the food.
See, teenage, when it comes to girls, we know that girls are very conscious about their body image, and specifically in their teens. So they feel like skipping meals, and then they feel that if they are hungry, they would just eat a couple of biscuits or cookies and maybe a samosa or a vada pav, and they want to just wrap it up. Okay, they don't really want to indulge into full meal, because the lack of awareness that the calorie count, if a full meal like a roti dal sabji is still going to be lesser. Sometimes if you were to binge on a bowl of Maggi or samosas or quick fixes. So very importantly, very first point is to completely reduce on these kind of options, such as quick meals, fast food, go off it. If you are doing it under peer pressure, maybe you can be the one to create that knowledge and insight amongst your friends that, okay, let's do it this way. That if you are wanting, if we all feel like, so if they're studying together or whatever, and they get influenced, you want to set targets, you want to set limits. And that's what we do with our teen clients. When the mothers bring them, we tell them, okay, even if the child is going out or ordering together when they're studying, you have to, as a parent, if they're coming at home, the children are sitting together, you have to tell them that, okay, you will get to eat all this sort of food only on the weekends when you sit to study, and the rest of the weekdays you will eat whatever is being prepared at home. So one is that. Second thing, again, the teens, they don't want to consume the roti and the rice, and they don't mind, and they just want to go high on the protein thing. There was a client who used to just eat chicken and fish all the time because he wanted to lose weight. We had to get him to eat the roti and the chicken and get that thing out of his head that, okay, he can eat roti, because that is what causes moodiness. Carbohydrates are known to cause some kind of happiness quotient in the mind. So eating a banana is going to elevate the mood, make you feel nice and good. If you're hungry in the night, instead of binging on chocolates, just try to consume oats porridge. Try to go in for that. These are small things, but of course, as you rightly said, teens need to maintain their moods because they disturb the parents. I know how they handle them.
I know.
Not
So
easy.
this information and you spoke with with such length and with such comprehension with that I can really compliment you for that. And I'm sure people who are watching and will be further watching on YouTube will really benefit a lot. And of course, last word on women's health, which is very important. All women out there, listen to Ujwala ji that your health is very precious and important. Maintain it at any cost. So briefly, anything on that?
See, you are the homemaker and you are the one who's going to set the trend of the entire family's food style, right? So whatever we say that, okay, children want to eat this, my husband feels like eating this, but if you are strict with the patterns of eating in the house, nobody can shake it up, right? So we know that mothers can really shake up the entire family that I'm going to only prepare this. So in that case, you want to really just provide quick meals to your family, lay down ground rules that this is what it is. If you want to eat junk, you want to eat something which is unhealthy, you're going to introduce it into the family only once in 10 days. And secondly, if you are not able to take care of yourself, you have to prioritize your own health. You can't say that, okay, I've been preparing meals, I've not been able to take care of myself. Because if you don't take care of your own self, you don't have the energy to even listen to your, nuances of your child's health or your husband's health. So prioritize your own health, very important. Because if you are happy, you are going to create a happy environment, specifically in this COVID-19, where people are depressed, looking at each other all the time at home, struggling with each other, moodiness. So at least one person can be happy. And if you are taking care of yourself, going for morning walks, then coming back and sitting for a quick breakfast, not really lengthy ones like preparing elaborate breakfast and elaborate meals, reach out for help in the family. Tell them that I am the one who is tired also because I'm a homemaker. It's not that I am having my me time. It's in fact in COVID, they are the ones who are 24/7. Like there was never a break for homemakers. In fact, they got doubly overloaded. So prioritizing is important and reach out for help. Set ground rules that this is not permitted. If it is healthy, it has to be healthy meals, and we will just do it on the weekends. So I think that's very important.
You have talked about a subject which is so much around us, which is so much ingrained in us, which is so important to us that we can go on and on. I can tell you, Ujwala Bakshi. Is there something somebody wants to ask? Anybody wants to ask something? Any question there? You can write in your chat box or you can write to me as well, and maybe we are on Twitter, and that's where our surnames are the same. This is something very common, and I should learn more inputs also that is coming from you individually as well.
So hi Ujwala ma'am, Rakhi Bakshi
Yeah.
ma'am, maybe there was a network issue. She just disconnected. So I would like to thank you for from on the behalf of our whole team. Thanks for all
Thank
your
you.
deliveries, and thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for such an insightful session. I, on behalf of Forward India, thank you so much for being there and giving your valuable insights on such a relevant topic these days. And thank you so much, ma'am.
Most welcome. Most welcome. Thank you for having me. And I hope it was helpful to share those ideas. And I hope the audiences will pick up some, valuable tips and tricks that they can work around.
Sure, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. You may now leave the session.
Thanks.